People coming in and pretty much preaching exactly what I've been preaching here lately. If you all watched the videos of Thursday night, you heard me say that. You know, this is just another example that God is trying to tell His people that He is going to fight the battle for us. You know, how many times have you heard me say that it's not our battle, it's God's battle. We are servants. When people have things ugly to say to you, you don't go and knock their heads off or, stoop to their level. You give it to God. Because most of the time, what do? We mess things up. We get more people madder and hurter and everything else. Once when we step in our flesh, we have to keep the flesh of God in it, Sister Rose. You know that? You know, so many times, and look at the churches out there. Everywhere you look, you're hearing fighting. You're hearing people not coming into His house that's not in one mind and one accord. You know, God isn't pleased with that. He is looking for a people that is going to live by His words. He is looking for a people that He is going to be able to step out in front of and fight those battles for you. We, as the children of God, we have to be submissive. Do you know that? To Him. And if we can't do that to Him, then we're going to have a very rough life in the future. Because God is who holds our future. Do you know that? How many times have you heard me talk about playing around and God is probably getting so fed up with some people? Don't be on His fed up list. Did you hear what I said? Don't be on His fed up list. Because if you make that list, I can tell you here today, you're going to have some problems. Do you know that? God, He sent His Son to die for each and every one of us. Like the way the Spirit is that was in this building today, God is wanting to do a work in your life. Jesus Christ didn't hang there on that cross for you to be miserable. Jesus Christ didn't hang there on that cross for you to be unhappy. Jesus died for that freedom that we could have today. Equal rights, equal everything. You know, back if you read your Old Testament, it would tell you about a lot of things that went on back then. You had to serve a certain God. You had to owe up to rulers and kings and this and that. But I'm here today to tell you, when Jesus Christ died, He set men free from all the bondage, from all the headaches, from all the rules that they had back then. We as a church today is a New Testament church. We as a church today, we have freedom of worship. If you want to sit in your seat, just raise your hand and worship God, that's okay. If you want to run the aisles or jump the pew or whatever, that's okay. It's called freedom that Jesus Christ made for all of us. He's a good God. What other father would send his son to go through everything that he went through? Karen, could you send your boy to hang on that cross, to be spit on, to be beat up, to have rocks and stuff thrown at him? It would be hard, but picture yourself as Mary, standing over here on the side and watching your only baby boy being crucified like He was crucified.
God could have sent down angels. God could have put a hedge around Jesus. But God knew what it was for. Because of you. Kimberly, because of you. Because of you, Crystal. Jesus stood there and hung on that cross. Why the blood was just running down over his body. Why can't we respect that? I could have used other words, but I'm going to say respect what Jesus did. Do you have respect for Jesus today? When you come into his house, and you've heard me say this over the last few weeks, when you come into his house and you act like Mr. or Mrs. Holier than thou, but you go out in the world and you act like the devil, is that respect? Is that respect for the one that gave his life? I don't know what God wants to do today, but there's somebody in this house that God is trying to speak to. Did you close that door in their heart? Or are you going to open it up and say, tell me what you want, God, I will do. It's up to you. Robert, I can stand up here every Sunday, every Thursday, preach until I fall over dead. I can't be your judge. I cannot get you there. All I can do is lead and instruct. You can get there, but it's up to you. You know that? It's up to you whether you get there or whether you get there. But I can guarantee you when you stand up in front of God and God starts questioning you at your judgment day, you can't blame it on Pastor Mark. Like I said Thursday night, or maybe it was last Sunday, every service that we have, God records it. He knows what's going on today, and 100 years from now, he's going to look back that 100 years and know what's been said and what's been sung. You know, God ain't no dummy. You know that? You ain't going to fool him. The only person that you're fooling is yourselves. If you think you're going to stand there and lie to God. Oh, God, I didn't know that I was supposed to do this. I didn't know how I was supposed to live. I didn't know this or I didn't know that. God would flip over his book. 2015, July. Pastor Mark said this. What's your excuse? You ain't going to fool God. And all of you that's out in YouTube land and everywhere else, if you think you're going to fool God, I think you got a big surprise coming your way. Because Michelle, he knows it all. He knows what you're going to do next week. Even you don't know what you're going to do next week. That's the kind of God we serve. So don't think God is a fool. Don't think God is stupid or dumb. The only one that's stupid and dumb is us. Hello. I preach it hard. I've got a very high standard. And I believe you got to live by that standard. Because it's not a man-made standard. It's the Word of God. Praise God. Let us all stand all over the building, if you will. Robert, get